I welcome you on behalf of the DevOps Competences for Smart Cities project consortium. I welcome you at today's webinar, Developing Training Methodologies and Content for Specific Job Profiles. But before starting the event, I would also like to check who's in the room. I mean, at least we did that back then, if you remember the live events. But we have a nice tool to also do it online, live. We're going to do it with the help of the Mentimeter. How you use it? You go to the www.ment.com and type in the code you see on the top of the screen. The code is 72739852. You can use your smartphones, your desktop computers, basically any browser that you find. If you find a browser where this doesn't work, please do tell me, and we'll share it on. And the first question for all of us is, what is your favorite after lunch beverage? Okay, we have tea, coffee.
Wait, I'm entering the number first of all.
Yes, but you know, this is like a sports event. I'm trying to comment it and to see to lift up the tension on who's going to win. So basically, coffee is a big winner. Yes, of course, we all need coffee after a good lunch to stay focused, to stay awake. So basically, it's coffee all the way. Nobody went for the fourth option. Fourth option is a bit tricky. Can be something that's not really allowed to consume during the working hours, or something completely else. Up to you. How do you interpret? So yeah, but coffee is definitely the favorite of the drinks for all of us. For those of you who just joined, come to the Mentimeter and join us getting to know each other through a series of 3 questions. You use the www.menti.com and use the code on the top of the screen, 72739852. But yeah, water, tea, coffee. Coffee is a definite winner. But let's go to the next question, which is, who do you represent? So we also know who's in the room. Are you a vet provider? Do you come from a business sector? You represent a business. Do you come from public administration, academia? Are you a part of the civil society organizations, or something else, something that we didn't find? This is really nice to see, having 1/3 of participants from public administration. That's usually not the case in our projects or our event, so we're grateful for that. But it's quite nicely divided in terms of who's here. Unfortunately, no one from the web providers. Maybe they already know this topic well enough and they were not that interested. But you can see who's in the room. Also, in terms if in the last part where there's going to be Q&A, you can comment also from the perspective of other people who are here, or maybe address also other ideas, other challenges of other sectors. So thank you. And the last question in this part is, what do you want to learn today? Why did you sign up for the webinar? Is it something specific? Is it just the information? Did you find the speakers lineup really good? So I'm eager to hear what was the thing that convinced you to join us. Just general info on the topic. Yes, that's also good. I mean, keeping up to date what's going on, or maybe what others are doing. Breaking news. Whew. That's quite a high expectation. I hope that we will be able to fulfill it. Innovative methodologies. What are the trends? Yes, about what project results can be useful for your organization. What's happening in the SmartDevOps projects. How to implement smart cities governance. How to prepare new qualifications and training program for it. Smart city strengths. Discover innovative skills for smart cities professionals. All very interesting expectations, very interesting topics. It's also something for us to take from this event as a project consortium to address in the future events, because we are planning quite a few of them in this year. And we'll definitely use your input, your expectations on this. So yeah, we have the smart city strengths, we have the how to develop profiles, how to talk about training methodologies, and general news, what's going on. So I'll stop the sharing here. Thank you very much. You can still the Mentimeter will still go on, so you can still input your expectations here. But I think it's also time that that I stop talking so much. But before I do that, just a quick intro also. The SmartDevOps project is supported by Erasmus Plus program of the European Union under Sector Skills Alliance Action. It addresses shortage of digital and transferable skills of public sector employees in smart cities and municipalities, and supports them in their professional development. It sounds pretty straightforward. At least on paper it is, as it is often the case. The reality is a bit different. So the aim of today's webinar is to share our experience and our knowledge on how to identify emerging job profiles, not just in the smart city sector, but also in other sectors, and how to build on those identified profiles to develop an online, in the brackets, but now it's online educational program that follows the ECVET standards. Thankfully, I have some serious backup to help me deliver on the promise and to help me deliver on the content that we will present. But before I introduce you to our speakers, I would like to give the floor to Peter Palvolgyi, CEO of All Digital, my boss, and the host of today's event. Please, Peter, the Zoom is yours.
Thank you very much, Borut. Let me share my screen. I'm confident that you can see it. And thank you for the opportunity to welcome you to the SmartDevOps webinar. My name is Peter Palvolgyi, CEO of All Digital. And first of all, I would like to say a few words about All Digital. We are a leading pan-European organization, international association based in Brussels, representing currently 70 member organizations who work with 20,000 digital competence centers who support the development of digital skills of 1.5 million people every year by means of trainings and providing advice. Our focus is all people who need to develop their digital skills. We believe that everyone should be able to benefit from digital transformation. And our focused areas include basic digital skills, but also digital skills for employability and entrepreneurship, advanced digital skills, including coding and AI, digital media literacy, and STEM skills for the society. And we do a lot of awareness raising as well to support all those who have no sufficient digital skills to respond to the challenges of digital transformation. And that's why we run every year our All Digital Week campaign, which is an annual pan-European campaign organized by All Digital and its members and other partner organizations. And the aim of the campaign is to engage and empower thousands of citizens to use digital technology and enhance their digital skills. And our motto this year is be a digital hero, or everyone can be a digital hero. And this year we put the focus on educators who are the real digital heroes in our days. And this is the current status of the partners and the number of events and number of participants reached during this campaign, which started a few days ago, and it's going on until the middle of April. So very confident that this campaign will be again very successful, reaching way over 100,000 participants through events, trainings, webinars, workshops organized by our members and partner organizations. During this weeks, we are organizing a series of events and webinars, and among them, the SmartDevOps event is happening today. And I would like to highlight a few upcoming events. Tomorrow, we will have the CDDC Crowd Dreaming Youth Co-Create Digital Culture final conference with a great number of participants, hopefully. And there we will explore the need of stronger collaboration between cultural heritage and education sector across Europe. Also present the Europa Square, a digital monument hosting 8 digital crowd dreaming scenes developed by students. Then on Friday, we will have the STEAM on Edu webinar. The event highlights the central role of educators and aims to support them in implementing STEAM education. Next week, we will have an Open AE webinar to explore the free Libre open source software culture, which we call FLOSS, and its implementation at work, employment, and adult education. And next Wednesday, we will have a Biblio project webinar, where we talk about the new trends and requirements in the professional development of librarians. Just very briefly, yesterday we launched, as part of our All Digital Week campaign, a new online tool, which is called My DigiSkills. It's available through this domain, a new tool that helps users to understand their digital competences, and it covers 6 levels of the digital competence framework, and it's currently available in English and 6 other languages, and more languages are to come. And this Monday, we had the opportunity to organize a high-level launch event of our All Digital Week campaign. And I would like just to put a sentence from Commissioner Maria Gabriel, who said that we need to go beyond digitalization into a real digital transformation of our economy and society. And it requires all Europeans to have the digital skills required to be active members of the society. And we also had other high-level speakers, among them Mr. Stefanos Karpetta, Director for Employment, Labor and Social Affairs of OECD, who emphasized that when we talk about digital skills, it's worth highlighting what are the digital skills we are talking about. And of course, first of all, we talk about technical and professional skills, including ICT specialist skills for workers who drive innovation and drive the digital infrastructure and the functioning of the digital ecosystem. However, we need more generic digital skills for both workers and citizens to be able to fully use digital technology. And last but not least, we need a number of complementary, sometimes we call it soft skills, such as leadership, communication, teamwork skills, which are required to expand the number of opportunities for ICT-enabled collaborative work. And all these 3 dimensions are often in short supply, as he emphasized. And lastly, projects like SmartDevOps and many other projects we as All Digital participate in address these challenges in collaboration between various stakeholders, just like in DevOps, universities, businesses, public administration, and civil society organizations, with the support of the European Union or other donors, to provide real solutions to the benefit that benefit people and the society. Thank you very much, and Borut, I'm zooming back to you.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you for also nicely framing the landscape that is also addressed by today's event, and more importantly by the SmartDevOps project. So moving on with the agenda, we have 3 presentations for you today. The first will be delivered by Professor Dr. Panos Fitsilis, who's a SmartDevOps project coordinator, my second boss at this event, and a full professor at the University of Thessaly, Greece, which is also the leading partner in our project. He's also a lecturer at the Hellenic Open University and has extensive project management experience with more than 50 research and commercial projects on development and deployment of large IT systems. He published over 100 papers in scientific articles and international conferences, and is no doubt the right person to explain you what the SmartDevOps project is about and why we need it. Dr. Fitsilis, the Zoom is yours. You need to unmute yourself.
Thank you, Borut, very much for your introduction. It's really nice to be here together again. I would like to thank All Digital for organizing these events. Maybe we should do it more regularly, once per month. Because at least for me, the events you organize are interesting, and I'm happy to participate in your campaign. I'm participating to your campaign the last 3 years, and I think that it's necessary to have this type of weeks and to have more opportunities to promote what is called digital skills, and not only. I have a few minutes to present to you the work we are doing in the context of an Erasmus Plus project that is called DevOps Competences for Smart Cities. This is one of the few projects where we are targeting the public sector. During COVID-19 pandemic, we realized of course, that we need strong economy, but we cannot have strong economy unless we have a very strong public sector. I was, and I still am, advocate of the free economy where companies compete to develop, but I have realized that public sector is quite important because it's there when we need the extra thing when we are in trouble. So this project is focusing exactly on the public sector and on the skills of the people working for municipalities. And because all municipalities today want to become smart cities, we're focusing on the skills needed by the municipalities' workforce to deliver to the citizens smart cities. It's our 3rd year. We started 1st of January 2019. So this is our last year. And during this small travel, we have realized that there is an increasing interest on the topic that we try to promote in our project. Of course, you can see the website, but before I continue present to you what the project is about, a very brief introduction to the partners, to the important partners that contribute to this project. We're a quite large consortium, and I believe a happy one. University I represent is the project coordinator, but during these 2.5 years, we have the opportunity, almost 2.5 years, we have to develop relationships and become friends apart from colleagues. Before I present the project, I would like to give you an overview of the challenges today. And they are numerous, and they are important. And in this landscape that you see with challenges, you will see one that is called talent, labeled as talent. One of the most important challenges smart cities are facing today is not the technical one. It's about their staff. It's about the human capital and the people that are working in our cities. So most of us, most of the projects, most of the work is focusing on the technical side. And of course, technical problems are important. Other challenges are related with security, which is of paramount importance. But we cannot realize all of them unless we have the policies, which is the legislative environment to work, And more importantly, we cannot realize them if we don't have the proper people, the properly trained people to do the job. At the European level, of course, the problem is even more harder, more difficult to tackle, because municipalities in most cases are staffed with employees of some age, which means that they do not, in most of the cases, that they are not aware of the new technological developments. And this is quite important, that we have to tackle the skills needed by the workforce. And of course, this is not my personal opinion, but has been proved by studies, many studies, that have proved that one of the most challenging problems where you want to develop a smart city is to find the people with the correct knowledge, with the correct skill set, with the correct mindset, I should say. Because if you see the numbers on this slide, it says that when you develop a smart city, apart from the technical problems and the legislative issues that you have to solve, you have to develop workforce skills, but you have to develop a different culture. And you have to develop a different leadership style. And these results have been produced by an extensive questionnaire that Deloitte administered to more than 1,000 government officials in more than 70 countries. So it's an extensive study. And it proves that one of the challenges is not only to train, but as well to change the culture and the leadership style. And if we look on more data on this topic, that we will see that 90% of the organization are facing this problem. And only 34% of the organization has sufficient skills. And this is something I'm repeating again and again on many occasions. And what I say is this: I don't care so much about the mega cities. I don't care so much, I'm Greek, I don't care so much about Athens, that has 4 million population, or Salonika, because their private sector has the incentive, the financial incentive to develop new services. I'm more concerned with smaller cities that do not have the correct strategy. They don't have even a strategy in many cases. They don't have the team with the appropriate knowledge to develop these technologies, and they don't have the resources. And of course, in Europe, we have many medium-sized cities, and there are hundreds of them. And many of us were living not at the center of the city, but in a satellite city, a satellite town nearby. And this is quite important. And we have to win this war of talent. We have to win this war of talent, because unless we invest in people, unless we train the people appropriately, we cannot have smart cities delivered, operational. And another thing I say, and I consider this as well important, is we are living in a software-enabled society. So everything we do is based on software. If something is not digital, it will become digital in the next couple of years. So digitization is everywhere. So what I'm saying is that we have to trust the operation of our cities. We have to make sure that our smart city will operate smoothly. And the style today that at the past we were going at the office, we were working for 8 hours, 9, then back home. Now we are 24 hours, 7 days a week, working from home, from office. So our lifestyle is different. So we want 99.99% availability of all smart city services. And of course, the winning strategy is not only to invest in upskilling, not only to develop digital academies. In Greece, we have an excellent digital academy the last couple of years, which is offering courses, very nice courses. Not only to create a value proposition for the next generation of IT workers, not only to find new ways to attract people like crowd policies, like hackathons, like new ways to market new jobs, but we have to develop the culture and we have to develop the appropriate professions. And this is my key message, that people have to realize that smart cities are systems and our life is based on that systems, and we have to develop a new working culture, a new culture in general for the city and the corresponding professions for those. And now I come for a few minutes for my project. For our project, we feel that we have something important in our project, and this is to initiate the development of this culture and to initiate the development of this new profession. And our project is exactly this: to find out what are the needs, to design new training modules, new training curriculum, new job profiles, to develop a sample material for these curriculums, to pilot them, and of course, to make aware that our society, our cities have this need, that people have to be trained, people have to be upskilled. We have to develop a new way to see things, a new culture, new professions. And DevOps project exactly serving this priority. We already defined some new roles for cities employees, and we already defined for each of those roles what is the required knowledge, skills, and competences. So we managed to have a starting point. So somebody that is looking for these new professions, the smart city planner, the smart city IT professional, has somewhere to start. DevOps is the starting point in order to develop these professions further. And as I explained to you, as just mentioned to you, we have defined 3 new professions: the planner, who is the person that is planning the strategy of the city; the IT head is the person that is coordinating the projects of the smart city. Most of them are IT, but not exclusively. And the IT staff is the person that is developing or operating these services and solutions. And these slides, of course, probably Borut will distribute these slides. Our website is available, so people can take a look, see what its profile is, what is the core knowledge it requires, what is the optional knowledge that is required, and so on. And of course, I totally agree with what Peter said before. We don't have only technical skills. We have to get rid of the dictatorship of technology and introduce human factors, transversal skills, our personality to what we are doing, and develop the things we are good at it. We have to consider the specific issues that smart cities have to face, so smart cities related. And because, as I said before, we are living in a smart, we are living in a software-enabled society, we have to see new ways that software is developed. And this is related with DevOps set of competencies. DevOps, for those that are not aware, is a software development methodology that brings together the development and the operation of its, the development of the software and the operation of the corresponding IT services. Of course, it's the latest way software is developed and delivered. It's the latest approach used by all big IT companies. I'm not working only on smart cities, but I have a smartwatch, and my smartwatch is alarming me that 20 minutes at my disposal is over. So I will try, Borut, to conclude in a couple of minutes. It's a new approach that brings together these different mentalities. On the left side, whether it's labeled dev, is the development team. Developers are innovators. They like new things. On the other side, we have the operations team. Operations people are more, they like to have stability, the smooth operation of their services. And this methodology is bringing these two cultures together, these two different approaches. And DevOps is trying to combine all these things, transversal skills, general IT skills, new software development skills, and smart city skills in order to build the necessary knowledge that is needed from smart city officials. And of course, we have developed this material, and I would like to share with you this information. At the end of last year and beginning of 2021, we delivered the first round of our MOOC course. And this course was consisted of 15 modules, and we received 938 applications from people to participate to this from many countries. So our project is not European, it's a global project, which means that this need is global, and more than 300 of those people have successfully completed this MOOC, and they have been certified. 300 out of 900 is 1/3, which is well above the completion rate in comparison with other MOOC programs. So we consider that this was a quite successful activity of our project. Currently, and of course we marketed that this is the first MOOC program dedicated for smart city official. So, and this is the truth. This is the only one that exists today, at least to our knowledge. And currently, and of course, these are some positive comments from our students, but I'm not going to read them. You're going to see them later if you are interested. And currently, we're doing the second phase of this course, which is called specialization course, that will train people on specific job profiles. And it started end of February. It is a long course, 24 weeks. We have many applicants, many participants, not applicants, because already started. And we are very happy with the progress we have up to now. So I will close with this. Our project is focusing at the public sector, smart cities. Only few projects are focusing at this public sector. Public sector was something that has not received attention, at least in at Erasmus Plus funding. We're developing job profiles for professionals that want to work for smart cities. We standardize this offering so somebody knows what to do, what he has to learn. I believe that this is a starting point because we plan to continue this work. And of course, we have to provide people with trainings, with knowledge in order to win this war of talent. Because without talent, we cannot build innovative solutions. Thank you very much. I believe that my colleagues, the next speaker, will elaborate on these ideas. And I don't know, questions probably at the end.
Yes, that's right. Thank you, Panos.
Thank you very much.
Questions in the end, but if you have any questions now, please post them in the chat, or if you're following us through Facebook, post them in the comments. We will use them in the last part. So now we understand the why and partly also the how, but we're going to move into specifically how we identify these profiles and how we then support the people, the municipal employees, in terms of training and education. I will be giving the floor to Dr. Dolores Sanchez Bengoa, who is a Vice President at the University of Applied Management Studies in Mannheim, Germany, and a Professor for International Business and Intercultural Studies there. She's also an Associate Professor at the International Business School in Vilnius and a visitor lecturer at the University of Liechtenstein. She has been leading our work on identifying emerging job profiles, the one that also Panos mentioned, and she will present our methodology and how to utilize it in order to prepare these job profiles for the next stage, for developing of the training and educational methodologies. Dolores, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Borut, very much, and a very warm welcome to all of you to our presentation. It is a pleasure for me to have the opportunity to share with you some ideas on how we did it, the development of these courses. As Panos has presented, very nice, the final product, I will say, and now I will tell you how we went, and this is a little bit my agenda, how we went step by step to the development of the courses. Obviously, we are a team of 3 at the University of Applied Management Studies in Mannheim, myself, 2 colleagues more, Professor Kaufmann and Professor Sambring, who has been contributed enormously to the development of this part. What I would like to show you is how we design our research, what we identify or what we didn't find in the existing literature at the moment. And what we didn't find is what we researched via quantitative and qualitative analysis, and we will present you some conclusions. Right. The main idea, as said before, it was to identify the core competences. We are looking at digital competences and transferable competences to see what we really need and to be able to see the trends, how the future profiles of city employees they should look like. So we conducted a methodology that we started doing a quantitative survey. It was a quite extensive survey translated into 4 languages, the 4 languages of the partners that we are participating, mainly Italian, Greek, Cyprus, English, and German, obviously. Unfortunately, and despite the many efforts that we all did, we didn't get too many responses as much as we wanted, I have to say. And we decided to do a little bit an extra work, which was a qualitative research where we were conducting interviews, 40 interviews in, again, the 4 countries we are all the partners. We have been doing some participant observation, focus groups, and we have been analyzing the content of all these interviews. And this is what we would like to present to you into all the modules that Panos has mentioned before. In the next presentation, you will see how the whole testing of the MOOC courses has been done and how also the specialization courses are at the moment being developed. And the final target for our project is also create a sustainable, really international network of best practice. Just for you to have a little bit an idea or to carry all the steps that we did, the first thing, it was a literature review where we explore many articles, and I will show you very briefly some of them. We were looking all what has been already researched, what has been published, all what is there. And we wanted to really look what somebody has not done that contribute to the innovativeness of our project. Then we conducted a quantitative survey, as I said before, in the 4 countries. Then we did also a documentary analysis, looking at benchmarking, looking at what is the offer, the demand. We also has compared national at a European level, what are we doing in each country? Not happy now with that. We did an extra, as I said before, the qualitative research. We were very much grounded, really understanding why do we really need the skills and the competencies that we have identified before. What are the demands, how they are using in the different countries. Then we have allocated some typologies that you will visualize very easily. And finally, what we did also, we compare with a national and international frameworks in this field. Not always is we agree on that, and you will see that there are different countries have doing in different perspectives. Some of them, they have placed more emphasis in certain skills and in other competencies. So just looking a little bit our literature review, you can see here a list of articles that we have been looking. Obviously, the topic of smart cities is a quite recent one, so we really have to focus on the latest literature that we found here. And you can see it depends what we were looking at. Here you have all the articles that we have been reviewing. Or the next one, for example, when looking at IT response to dynamic changes, we concentrated mainly on the work of Trust and Ryan and Finati in 2018, and the Gartner report in Germany, which is also has been providing us with quite a lot of input in our research. What happened? We finished with all our research, all the readings, all the analysis, and we found 3 gaps, something that we didn't find in any place. One of them is the connection between the smart city applications and the DevOps from a citizen perspective. There is no connection there. What you find is very much a scattered literature talking about this one, but there is no cohesion with a citizen perspective, with an IT perspective. What we also identified, there is an integrated skills portfolio. As you see here, IT or DevOps related skills, transferable skills, but nobody so far has been talking about which of these skills are more important for a city planner or for a team manager or IT officer. So this differentiation is also something very novel in our research. And finally, we didn't find that really academic models are existing in literature for smart city planning. So based on that, we obviously created our hypothesis, how the things could be tested, why is there, and maybe perhaps just a couple of them. We cannot have go through all of them, but something that we thought, if we are looking very much at our citizens, we are focusing very much in citizens because it was one of the really major outcomes, the focus on people. And the idea of creating an identity-driven strategy, obviously this requires different competencies than if we do a technology-driven strategies. So this was one of our hypotheses. You can read also the other ones, all the hypotheses that have been confirmed in our research. As Panos has been explained before, we have the 3 profiles, the city planners, and then the manager or IT officer. We have here 3 important parts where we have our general and transversal competencies and skills. We have more technological skills, and then we are looking for strategies. And we have allocated that the planner needs the 3 of them, and the IT and the IT officer are concentrating more in IT specific and skills and general competencies. What happened? Well, we have been looking also very much is the level of these competencies. Does everybody need to have the same competencies? Or, for example, it depends if we are doing very much how we cooperate with other organizations on a national or an international level. If we are outsourcing many of the services, and this is also the connection here, level of smart city services, do we have to prepare our people more because we are doing very much by ourselves, or we are outsourcing certain services where then maybe we don't have to involve all our employees in the same development of skills and competencies? So it depends a little bit which level are we presenting. We are also talking about investment. This could be from knowledge time investment to financial investment. Final part also, obviously this will develop also the architecture of the whole smart platforms. Very much at the bottom, and this has been confirmed by many of our respondents, is very much the citizens' involvement. Very much the strategy involving the citizens and DevOps related decisions, all the time involving the citizens. So very brief here, some competences. You will get in a big table where you can see all together. If we look at transversal and general management competences, the research has give the final results that for city planners, they are mandatory, and for IT planners, IT managers, they are also mandatory. But you see here, for example, for IT officers, it might be different, also with different in terms of nationalities. Some countries has pay more interest in certain competences than other countries. Then you see general IT management competences. Is said that for the city planners has to be also differentiated to which activities are they doing, and obviously in terms of IT, in this case for the managers and officers, all these IT competences are obligatory. The third one, if we look at DevOps related competences for planners, is an optional, with very highly recommended that also smart city planners need to have these DevOps competences. And for IT managers and officers, they are also obligatory or mandatory. And the final one, are we looking for a specific smart city related competences where they are mandatory for the planners and the IT managers, and for the IT officers might be also again differentiated according to the task and job that they have. But what everybody, once again, and this comes together with Panos' comment, the idea of the importance for all of profiles must be an absolutely citizen-centric perspective. This everybody confirmed it. Right, so then we move to our qualitative research, and we identify 6 key issues very much which awarded for smart cities. Smart city infrastructures, a strategy for digital transformation. I will give you a very brief example of all of them coming from the respondents. Number 3 are the citizens, 4 the skills, smart city education, fundamental for that. I will give you an example now, and the identity of a smart city. These are some very brief, I will not read to all of them, but these are just some statements directly for some of the respondents. And if we look at the smart city infrastructure, a very important thing that here I was a respondent from Italy, they look at this smart city infrastructure need to have a synergy between the municipalities, between the chamber of commerce, between the region, between the industry. So again, we are looking at aspects of synergy. We look at the next example when we are talking about a strategy for digital transformation. Very important, what they highlight, interdisciplinary conceptual framework. What happened? We have to understand, to plan, and to manage through a balance of an innovative management and IT skills. So we need to combine very much to have different aspects. We are looking from technology, we are looking for sociology, we are looking for politics. So the idea of a more holistic learning. We have another example. Citizens, they say here, fun. We need to have some fun in developing these skills and these competencies, and especially for the involvement in a smart city of the citizens. They said we need to change the mindset, as you say here, for example, when the citizen says, this is not my responsibility, I don't have to do something. What is the fun effect? This is what we have also to take into account in order to involve citizens actively in our planning of our organization. When we are looking also at skills, we are looking at different also things are changing, management is changing. So how do we have also to adapt to new tendencies, the new skills that we need? And the idea of multidisciplinary learning very much with combining the soft skills with knowledge in communication and finance. So again, we are looking at combination, as we said before, of technical plus also the soft skills. And the final one is an example from Heraklion from Greece. It was selected by the European Union as one of the most powerful digital cities in Europe. What happened with this great award, they have the opportunity to have also a lot of financial support for providing in a large scale also a lot of trainings, not only for employees of the public sector, but also for the citizens. So we see what important aspects we have identified with the quality case. Briefly, and just to show here some of the transversal skills and how do we present the different countries. We see the smart city planners, the IT managers or the IT officers, and the 4 countries. The black is Greece, the red Cyprus, green Italy, and the blue one in Germany. As I said, some cases most of us agreed, but if we look all another slide, you see in some cases, yes, we continue agreeing, but in other ones, some countries play emphasis in some skills than other countries. So you could take a little bit perhaps time afterwards to look at them. We look as well at general IT management and knowledge. You see also differences in opinions according to the country. For some of them, they are compulsory, for others are just recommendable. And the final one, when we look at service operations and smart cities related. So you see that it's a huge amount of work which has been developed. And at the end, we have produced 42 skills and competences, and these are the basis for the courses that we are developing and offering at the moment. But we did also, one coming towards the end of our research, we have looked what we got and we compare it with national and European frameworks. And you see also what is mandatory, what is optional. Again, several discrepancies with some European frameworks, because as I say here, for example, the European competences framework do not distinguish between what is really compulsory, what is really necessary for people who are in public sectors in this topic. Everything again is put into a pot, but there is not recommendation what is really compulsory to learn or what is a suggestion. Also, what we found some commonalities with some of the transversal competences, but some more we saw, for example, therefore competences are in terms of intercultural skills, decision-making, networking, all this one that you are saying here, they were not very much observed by these European frameworks. And especially the last one, it was only one which was monitoring competences, specialized in DevOps related competence, were not considered by these frameworks. So I'm looking a little bit at the time and just going, these are obviously issues that we have identified. They need to be, it has to be really improved. And our final conclusion, I could go because this is the work of one full year. So I could have conclusions 3, 4 of 4 slides, but time is a little bit limited. Important thing is balancing the transversal and digital competences to see what is really mandatory for one of the 3, what is suggested for one of the 3 profiles that we have been seeing. And also separate also trainees according to the different jobs that the people are, according to the profiles that we have developed, that as I said before, this differentiation never exists. And also taking a combination of technical skills, but more transversal competences, like for example, strategic vision, intercultural skills, knowledge management, that it has a very good balance of what do we do with technology, but what do we do also with our citizens and our human interaction? So thank you very much for your attention. And Borut, I give you back the Zoom. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I always like to take back the Zoom, but no, thank you very much for this in-depth overview, even though with a quite limited time. So in a way, we have half of it how to do it. We identified the competences, we developed the profiles, and the question was how then to educate, learn public municipality employees and others, how to learn them, how to support them in acquiring these competences. This will be presented by Dr. Theodor Panagiotakopoulos, Dr. Theodor for me, because it's much easier. He has a PhD from the Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering at University of Patras, and he currently works at the Hellenic Open University as a senior researcher in the mobile and pervasive computing and quality and ambient intelligence lab. He has published over 20 articles and been a part of quite a few national European R&D projects, holding positions as a researcher, technical, and also managerial. He will explain to you how he went from these profiles and competences to build educational programs that actually also follow ECVET standards. So without further ado, Theodor, the Zoom is yours.
Okay, thank you, Borut, for the introduction. I have to say that my surname is difficult even for the Greeks. It's way too long. So, I guess you have already seen what we have done in this project, how we defined 3 new job roles. I have to say from my own research that the literature only has 1 job role defined and described. It's the Smart City Manager. And we had the opportunity in this project to define 3 more job roles. The competencies are in 4 groups: transversal or soft competencies, general IT knowledge, DevOps related, and smart city related competencies. You have seen this table as well from Dolores before. We did the needs analysis phase. Several questionnaires were filled. We created the 4 national reports, and we reached to some common ground concerning what competencies should be in each job role. These tables provided us with 3 VET curricula, 1 for each job role. And we only considered the mandatory competencies. We left the optional out of our curricula. The next step was to define the training methodology. The training methodology consists of 3 phases. In the first phase, we have the MOOC. In the second phase, we have the specialization course, and which is provided through a blended learning model. And finally, we have in the third phase, the work-based learning. Concerning the MOOC, we decided to offer, as Panos said, it is the first MOOC for smart cities, and we decided to offer some competencies common to all job roles and that have an introductory nature to all types of competencies. What we used for our instructional design was the well-known ADDIE model. I will call it ADDIE for reasons of simplicity. ADDIE is a well-known model, widely used, sometimes even considered as a standard, and it's quite useful due to its due to being extremely effective in large and complex teaching designs like the one we had in our project. It illustrates an iterative and self-corrected process and provides continuous assessment in every step of the instructional planning and development. It also follows a team-based approach, defining 3 different roles: that of the author, the technical reviewer, and the scientific reviewer. The author designs and develops the content, and the reviewer, from his or her own perspective, evaluates the design and development of the content. Now, using ADDIE does not bring success on its own. It's the way we implement the ADDIE guidelines and its 5 different stages. So during the first phase, the analysis phase, we specified several things about the course, the MOOC course, its purpose, its target audience, the generic learning goals, and of course the structure and timetable of the MOOC. You can see here an example of the DevOps MOOC, for which we considered a weekly workload of 8 to 10 hours. Each week should contain 1 to 2 learning modules, where one learning module stands for 1 competence, and each module should require 3 to 6 hours of study time. Each of these modules, learning modules, consists of 2 to 6 units, and each unit has a combination of core learning objects, additional educational material, collaboration, and assessment objects. What was mandatory for a unit was to contain core learning objects and assessment objects. You can see here the MOOC structure, considering we had 8 weeks. You will see that we had 10 weeks and 2 more weeks for reflection time. And in this schematic representation, you can see what the previous slide showed, that each week consists of 1 or 2 modules, where each module has 2 to 5 learning units. The next phase was to design our learning material. This phase is the most demanding phase, where we have to describe the modules, their units, the learning objects that each unit will include, and the assessment methods. All these were done based on learning outcomes. We initially defined the learning outcomes and designed educational and assessment material to teach and assess the achievement of these learning outcomes. It's a learning outcomes based approach. You can see, for example, a template we created for the course module description. While ADDIE provides some generic guidelines to perform the instructional planning and development, you have to create the tools to actually do it. And this template is one of many templates we used in this project. I think they were about 20 different templates. And you can see it is about the course module description. It has 5 fields and several fields for defining the learning outcomes. For learning outcomes definition, we suggested 2 approaches based on the Bloom taxonomy: the ABCD approach and the SMART approach. Each partner had the opportunity to decide on the approach to undertake. Then the third phase was the development one, where the learning and assessment material were produced based on the identified learning outcomes. During this phase, we also developed the platform based on Moodle 3.9, and we uploaded the developed learning material. Also, we developed appropriate user guides for trainers and trainees. The design and development process was guided through the Basecamp collaboration platform. You can see here the digital open educational resources we were developing. For our collaboration, we created one folder for each of these competencies or learning modules, and you can see the internal structure of each competence here, where this slide depicts both the design and the development process, facilitated both the design and the development process. Finally, we have the implementation and evaluation phases, where during the implementation we published the available course. We piloted the course and provided support to the trainees and trainers. Then we had the evaluation, both formative and summative assessment, where we had the comments that Panos showed you in his presentation. This was the DevOps MOOC as a result of our efforts. And we had 15 competencies from all competencies categories. The estimated effort was 5 to 10 hours per week. And as you can see, it lasted more than 8 weeks because we decided to give some more time to learners to take a breath, because it was a very demanding schedule. The next step is the specialization course, which is being delivered now, and we will soon have the results for this also. This is a screenshot from the DevOps MOOC platform. You can see how all the material developed and shown in the previous slides are translated into a MOOC platform, where the template was selected to be very simple and received very good evaluations. You can see that a training module representing one competence, that is the basic concept of data analytics, consists of several units, and each unit consists of educational and assessment material. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Theodor. Now the floor is open for the question and comments, and we actually got a few of them already. But maybe Martin or Zahra, would you like to speak out? I mean, would you like to turn on the mic and do it yourself? No, I'll just jump in. From Zahra Amrahova from UNDP, we have a question that I think that the main problem is timing. That was when you were presenting the workload, the weekly workloads, Theodor. And the other question was, it would be great to get more information about the 8-week work-based learning. Is it designed for VET? So any of the three of my guests, you can jump in and answer the question.
Maybe I can give an answer to this question.
Please.
Actually, when we were designing the project, we designed a MOOC, a specialization phase that will lead to these different profiles. And together with this course, we had the practical placement, which means that people had to work at municipalities and be able to apply their knowledge. However, pandemic changed our plan and the quarantine. For example, the specialization course had a number of face-to-face meetings that were replaced with online meetings. For practical placement, we have not decided yet what to do, simply because this depends from the status of the pandemic and the quarantine. Simply because currently municipalities or organizations are not admitting new personnel for practice, at least in some of the countries, so it's very difficult to implement. This is a problem for our project, and we'll try to postpone the decision till the beginning of summer. So at that point, we have to decide. So we'll see the situation and decide what is best. The idea was that people that are trained at the specialization course, we have the opportunity to practice their knowledge with a practical placement. So the question is still a question for us. We don't know what to do. It depends from the health status.
I have a follow-up question on basically work-based learning and the whole program. So what is the target group by qualification level? Students, employee of municipality with bachelor education as a minimum? That's a question from Uri.
I don't know. I don't want to monopolize the discussion. Maybe Theodor, you want to?
I was looking at another question. Excuse me, the one that Mr.
Dolores.
Okay, then we answer this one, and Theodor, then you answer the one that you identified.
Yes.
So I think that this is what we're offering currently. It's a pilot course. So we had to be very open and see how people can cope with these requirements, because many courses are not technical, other are technical. So we try to leave it open and have the minimum requirements. So the admission to MOOC was open. We have not screened the people. However, there were assessments at the end of each module. So if somebody were able to answer to the questions, so he or she was certified. So the answer to this question is that we didn't have any admission criteria specific to bachelor degrees or to other topics.
Thank you. Theodor?
Yes, I was looking at the question from Mr. Martin Sekni. Is this correct? Asking which DevOps skills were presented, were included in our curricula. I think it's the first, and then IoT contents. Which IoT contents were included concerning the DevOps related competencies? We had the basic, a competence named DevOps Basic Concepts, Culture and Practices, and we had another 5 technical competencies provided through the specialization course, namely repository management, continuous integration, configuration management, using build, deployment and monitoring tools, and code analysis and continuous testing tools. These 6 DevOps competencies. Concerning IoT, we had an introductory course learning module to IoT. And then we had many information scattered in different competencies concerning business models, smart cities, platforms, user experience design based on IoT-driven applications, digital twinning, and so on.
I don't know, Borut, can I add to this answer, or to provide more information? So we have a reality here. So when you're designing a course, let's say for IoT, you have, if this course is targeted for a developer, you have to speak about specific technical infrastructure for specific sensors, for specific middleware, for specific development environments. This is changing not say daily, every month. So if you design a course and you are not a Cisco to support your own products, or you are not allied with a development environment or a framework, then it's very difficult to do something useful, because at the day you will have the course, the same day it will be obsolete. So most VET providers are developing courses that are targeting on principles. And for example, if you see the course that it was listed at the chat, this is a course that is quite similar to ours. It gives introduction to IoT, and then it speaks about digital transformation, and then it speaks how somebody should build applications for IoT and how the business model is changing. So it has to do with the fact that technology changes very fast. So concerning DevOps, DevOps is an extensive ecosystem. And the people that usually are providing training for DevOps, they display a screen full with logos, each one covering a different part of the ecosystem of the life cycle. And usually you have 2, 3, 4 options for each one of them. So as Theodor explained, we try to target to some key concepts, like, for example, version control, release management, build tools, continuous integrations tools, container technology, this type of things, and give to the people the concepts that they need, but we are not doing tool training. We do not provide training for specific tools. Okay, we may use some tools for our examples, but we're not providing training for specific tools that are available at the market. They are changing frequently. There are many of them, and so on.
Okay, thank you. Also, thanks from Martin for the answer. The next question: when will the MOOC be available again? When is going to be the next edition of the MOOC?
According to our planning, we'll provide another round at the end of the year. So if, let's say, the idea is to finish the specialization course or the practical placement if they took place, and then to provide another round of the MOOC. And then our project is over. So it's good that it's over, because we have to think for the future, the next step. If this is going to be commercialized, how it's going to be available, what it has to be done further, how it's going to be advertised, and things like this. Because I explained clearly at the beginning that this is the starting point, it's not the ending. So we have identified a need, we have drafted some job profiles. All job profiles are changing, especially those that are related with technology. And what we would like is to make aware that there is a need there. There is a market. And people have to be trained. If we want nice, smart cities working every day, we have to provide skills to the people, we have to provide training.
Definitely, and some self-promotion by the SmartDevOps project. Do follow us on Facebook or follow our website or Twitter. We post everything we do there, and also the information about the new MOOC will be there for sure. 2 questions related to e-learning. So, how effective do you think it's online learning and teaching? And the other question also, what kind of assessment tools do you advise to use to assess e-learning? So basically, on one hand, the effectiveness of e-learning, and on the other hand, how do you measure it? This also effectiveness, but how do you assess e-learning?
So probably there are many studies measuring the effectiveness of e-learning. The e-learning is, okay, for now, the only option. Of course, learning gonna be here and in the next years and not gonna be abandoned. However, all of us, we prefer face-to-face training. We prefer the collaboration. Simply online training is more practical. It's easier, you do it on your own pace. But if you had the time, I'm sure that everybody would have selected a classroom training or training with real people and being in the same place and working with them. At least this is my preference.
Dolores, please.
Just maybe to add an additional comment here, because again, due to the corona, we suddenly have to do all our what it was planned to do on a face-to-face basis. But I have to say now we have the opportunity. We have always to look at the bright side of the situation, you know. And now we have participants from all around Germany taking part in these specialization courses. And what we are doing normally, the session goes on Monday. We meet all for 1 hour, just to present what are you going to learn during your week on your own. And very often on Friday we come to discuss what is the assignment that you will have to do. And it's interesting to see how very often we have really nice chats and discussion where I'm more or less a little bit the moderator there, but the participants, because there are many from many different backgrounds, it develops really a very nice exchange of experiences, exchange of knowledge, perception. So this is also, I would say, an unofficial, but I would say quite positive outcome of this e-learning that we have at the moment.
Thank you, Dolores. Theodor, would you add anything about the assessment tools for e-learning?
Yes, the question does not clarifies if we assess educational impact and students' performance, or the platform and the tools used for the e-learning courses. Student performance. Okay, we use formative assessment methods based on multiple choice questions in our courses. Basically this, and we have a qualitative evaluation of practical assignments. This is how we evaluate student performance.
Thank you. One remark, let's do one more round of questions. I know we are a bit, already 10 minutes over the time announced, so I appreciate your also patience. I'll take the question from Juraj, and then one more if there will be more, and then we conclude everything. So the question from Juraj is, will your profiles be a part of ECF, or do you even have any such of inspiration? So either to map it to a specific framework or not? What are the plans if we look beyond 2021 when the project is over, in terms of profiling or formalizing it in terms of other programs and frameworks?
I don't know how many people know. We are 39 participants currently. How many people know about ECF? ECF is, for those that they do not know, is a European competence framework that is describing the job profiles of IT professionals. It is structured around a number of phases, project phases. If I recall correctly, the first is planning, then we have build, then we have running the system, enabling, and so on. So it is following a different concept. So we cannot say that we'll introduce DevOps curriculum in ECF. However, some of our modules map with the knowledge needed there directly. So, for example, there is competence called IT service management. It's how you run an IT service. Or there is another competence about software development. I think it's called competence development, or another one is called testing. So these competencies corresponds to a number of knowledge areas that we have identified. But these two things serve a different purpose. I think ECF is to describe the general discipline, the IT discipline and the professional skills that you need to have. And now I see Achilles on the screen. And Achilles, I think, Achilles Kameas, Professor Kameas, I think is part of the committee developing ECF, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe he can give us his expert opinion on this, because he is the expert. I'm not the expert on ECF. You have to open your microphone before.
Yes, hi everyone. Just a moment.
Let me mute my microphone.
Okay. Okay. There is some echo, just a moment. Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, but the echo persists.
The echo persists.
Maybe, yeah, maybe somebody is trying to tell us that it's time to wrap up. Let's give another chance to Achilles.
Okay, let's try now. Is it better?
Yeah.
Yes, much better.
Okay. So ECF, first of all, ECF is a standard, which means that in order to use it, we have to buy it. One thing we have to keep in mind. Second, ECF was a result of a very wide consultation among all stakeholders of IT competencies. So ECF is addressed to IT professionals, and this is very relevant to our case here. Then ECF is supported by a technical committee that is now continuing with, now they recently produced new version 3, if I remember correctly. Now they're continuing with producing the user guides. It comes, it has 5 areas of application and I think around 40 competencies, if I remember correctly. The new version includes also transversal competencies that were lacking in the previous version. It's 5 areas mapped to the stages, to the phases of software development and use. That's why it's plan, design, enable, use, and so on. Now, ECF is used to describe occupational profiles, and if one goes to the website of ITPE, which is the organization that supports ECF, the application of ECF, you can find a very nice online tool that you can use to design profiles by combining ECF competencies. And also there you can find examples of IT profiles that they have already developed for us by combining competencies. But as far as I remember, these profiles use very few competencies, around 5 or 6 per profile, while in our case we use many more. Then another thing is that it's competence of ECF is mapped to some of the EQF levels, and this is done to ensure a mapping between applying knowledge which we get from education. So the EQF levels actually is a taxonomy of educational qualifications, mapping knowledge that we get from education, qualifications that we get from educations to the needs of the job market, which are expressed in the form of profiles. That's a really good idea, and I think we have also adopted it here. It's a really good idea because it shows to what degree each competence is needed. Now, if you read ECF, you will see that for each competence can be used in at least 2 levels. And for each level, there are different learning outcomes that must be achieved. The ECF document also contains indicative learning outcomes. So that's how we can use ECF as a guide, I would say, and perhaps we can go to their tool and see if we can upload our profiles, include them there, or if it's not possible to do it online. I haven't checked, to tell you the truth. Since we are members of ITPE, we could talk to them and see if we can convince them to include our profiles in their system also, if we want. I don't know if there's anything else you want to know about ECF.
Thank you, Fitsilis. It doesn't seem so. We have.
1 second. Answer to Zara. Again, I think she asked the question. We try to introduce these occupation profiles to ISCO database, which is more direct. The correspondence is more direct to us. ISCO database is the database of all occupational profiles. Is the database for European Union. It exists in all European languages. It is extensive, and I think that our profile should create a new job description there. And of course, I said that when we were developing these profiles and the competence that we need for each profile, we consulted, we took into serious consideration, all European standards like ECF, like DigiComp, and we tried to create a mapping with them, so to find the correspondence. And I read the chat about a document, but I don't understand what exactly Zara is asking. So maybe.
Yeah, but I think that we definitely need to wrap up. There's always questions left unanswered, unfortunately, but there will be more opportunities in events to do this. I have one request for all of you. We would like to make a family photo, and if possible, please turn on your cameras, and we'll do some cheese exercise or zoom exercise if we want to have a weird photo at the end. But yeah, definitely a family photo would be nice to wrap up this this afternoon gathering of ours on the topic of DevOps and how to support development of smart cities by empowering municipal employees with digital skills from DevOps. Thank you very much for the nice
1, 2, 3 cheers.
smile.
One more time since people are joining. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Check. Perfect, thank you.
Perfect. And now, as every event needs to end at least with some sort of evaluation, I have one last question for you on Mentimeter. Please rate the event on a scale from 0 to 5 on 3 topics, on basically three grades. The webinar was interesting, 3 statements. What was the quality of the presentations, and what was the usefulness of the information provided? And while we are doing this, I would really like to thank all of you for joining the event, for participating with us, for sticking us with longer than it was announced. And we know this is sometimes a bit hard, especially now when we have from one Zoom to another, from one meeting to another, when there are so many also interesting events. And I accidentally shut down my sharing of the screen. And thank you very much for your rates, which are excellent, between 4 and 5.